All right. So today we'll see some of the important features from Playwright. So how exactly the auto waiting works, the timeouts, and also we'll discuss about different type of assertions and debugging process and everything. So first, let us start with auto waiting and timeouts. So what is auto waiting concept? So what is an auto waiting? So the name itself says auto waiting means what? It is waiting for something. So whenever you are performing certain action on the element, or whenever you are uh, putting some assertion, right? So they will wait for some time, and they will wait for some time. And auto waiting mechanism is a default feature in Playwright. So we no need to take care of waiting statements. So by default, auto waiting feature works. So what exactly the auto waiting means? We will try to understand this, how exactly it will work internally without putting any waiting statements. So this is official documentation from website about auto waiting. So what exactly the auto waiting will do? So Playwright performs a range of actionability checks on the elements before making actions to ensure these actions behave as expected. So what does that mean? Playwright performs a range of actionability checks. So what does it mean? For example, let's say I'm performing some action, let's say locator.click. So what this method will do, it will perform some click action on the element. So before performing the click action, the Playwright will automatically checks all these actions are working or not. So for example, when I'm clicking on some button or some element, so Playwright will automatically checks it is visible or not, it is stable or not, it able to receiving some events or not, it is enabled or not. So after checking all these things, then it will perform the click action. It cannot directly click on the it will not perform the click action directly. So before performing the action, it will perform different actionability checks. These are all called actionability checks. Okay, that's what it is saying. So Playwright performs a range of actionability checks on the elements before making actions to ensure these actions behave as expected. So if you want to perform any locator.click or locator.check, these are all the different actions we perform on the different type of elements. So to perform these actions, Playwright will automatically checks all these things are working fine or not. So before confirming these actionable checks, then only the action will be performed. And again, if these actionability checks are failed, suppose I'm trying to click on the button, but it is not visible, then it will return the timeout error. Suppose I'm trying to click on the button, but it is visible, but it is not stable, or it is not able to receive any event. It is not enabled. So in that case also, it will return a timeout error. So you can see that. So it auto waits for all the event or relevant checks to pass and only then performs the requested action. So when this action will be performed, only the actionable checks are completed and passed, then only the actual action will be done. So if required checks do not pass within the given time, action fails with the timeout error. Suppose I'm just trying to perform a click action and maximum timeout is what? 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds is a default timeout and we can customize it. And within the 30 seconds, all these actionable checks should be completed and passed. And then only this method will perform the action. And suppose if any actionable check is failed within the time, then this action will not be performed. So this will throw timeout error. So this is the auto waiting mechanism provided in Playwright itself. Okay, so to perform the click action on the element, we no need to verify all these things. By default, Playwright will take care of this checks. It is visible or not, stable or not, relevant, receive events or not, enabled, all these things. So for every type of an action, different type of actionable checks it will perform. So for example, let's say fill. So if you want to fill the data in the element, what are the actionable checks it will do? Only visibility, and then edit enable or not and editable or not. So these are the three actionable checks will be done if you want to perform the fill action. Similarly, you can see the list of actionable methods they have provided in their documentation and relevant actionable things. So once these actionable things are passed, and then only the exact action will be performed. So this is called auto waiting mechanism. And again, these are all methods will by default follow the timeout. So whatever the timeout we specified by default 30 seconds, it will follow. So within 30 seconds, all these actionable methods should be passed, and then only it will perform the action. And in some case, if any action is not performed, any one action is not passed within the timeout, then it will throw timeout error. Okay, this is how auto waiting mechanism works. Now, so let me show you a simple example. Go back to VS Code editor and create, and timeouts also we can customize. I will show you how we can customize the timeouts. By default 30 seconds. Okay, so let me create a new file. I'll name it as auto waiting and timeouts dot spec dot ts. Auto waiting and timeouts dot spec dot ts. I'm going to show you both the features in one single test, auto waiting and timeout feature. Okay, so now I'm writing a simple test here. I already have this test. Let me just copy this. So I have imported test and expect. And here, this is my title of the test, and this is the site I'm launching. So in this particular site, I'm trying to verify. As soon as you launch my site, I just verify this welcome message is present or not. So this is the one assertion, expect page.locator. And I'm provided some locator text equal to welcome to our store and visible or not. And also I'm verifying the URL. So two assertions I put here. So one is to URL is correct or not, and the text is visible or not. Okay. So for example, let's say, so let me remove this for now. Okay. So if I look at this, this is an action I performed. So what I've done, I've just launched my page. And after that, I'm verifying the URL is correct or not, and the welcome to store is displayed or not. So these are the two assertions I put here. And after that, I will just fill something in the search box. You can say here, I'll type laptop. Okay, I'm just typing laptop. And after that, I will try to click on the search button. I say click on the search button. So now I got some product. So the sequence of actions I have done here. So if I look at how many assertions we have, so these are the two assertions, and that's it. So there are only two assertions we have. After that, we perform some actions. So if you look at this particular test, there are some assertions and there are some actions, right? So how exactly auto waiting works here? So for example, if I look at this particular to have URL, this is an assertion. So for assertion also auto waiting works. For assertion also auto waiting works. So if I go back to the documentation again, these are the sequence of actions we perform on the elements. And if you just scroll down the page, assertions also they have listed out. If I look at these are the assertions, different assertions. And these assertions also will use auto waiting mechanism. So Playwright includes auto retrieving assertions that remove flakiness by waiting until the condition is met. Similarly to auto waiting before actions, just like how auto waiting works before performing the actions, similarly before validating the assertion, it will also wait. Okay, for example, let's say element is to be attached or to be checked. So to perform this assertion, it will wait for some time. Okay, it is trying to auto wait this particular locator, and then it will perform. So within the timeout, if the element is not available or actionability checks are not completed or not passed, and then only it will return timeout error. So the auto waiting mechanism works for actions and also assertions. Remember this very important point. Okay, auto waiting mechanism works for actions and also assertions. Okay, now if I look at here, and here this is a one type of assertion. This is also an assertion. These two are the assertions. Auto waiting works or not? Yes, auto waiting works for this URL, and auto waiting works for this element also. Expect locator to be visible. So for both, auto waiting works 30 seconds maximum timeout. And this is an action. So here we performing the assertions, but these two are the actions. So what are the first thing? These two are the assertions. On the assertions, auto wait works. Auto wait works. On the actions also, auto wait works. These are the actions. Here also auto wait works. Okay, and filling is an action. So suppose before filling, what are the actionable things it will perform? Let us look at the fill method. And the first one is visible or not, it will verify. And it won't verify these two things. And the last two things, enable or editable or verify. Enable or not, editable or not. So these three actionable checks will be done for a fill action method. So for every type of a action, it will perform auto waits. Okay, so this is a simple test. So here these are the assertions will automatically wait, auto wait works, and these are the actions. So here also auto wait works. Okay, so simple. If I run the test, so I can say npx playwright test. My test name is what? Auto waiting and timeouts dot spec dot ts, and I'm running headed mode. Okay, so now it is started running my code and verify perfectly fine. So actions are working fine and also assertions are working fine. So by default, assertions and actions will be supported auto waiting mechanism. So default time is 30 seconds for assertions as well as so for assertions, default time is 5 seconds. For actions, default time is 30 seconds. Remember that. Okay. So for assertions, default time is 5 seconds. For actions, default time is 30 seconds. So we will also customize the time. I will show you that. So this is how exactly auto waiting works. You need to understand this. What is an auto waiting? Auto waiting means what? Whenever you perform some action, it will do some actionability checks and then only the action will be performed, right? That is the definition of auto waiting. So before performing any action, it will perform certain actionability checks, and after that only, if the actionability checks pass, then only the main action will be performed. That is the definition of auto waiting. Now suppose I don't want to perform this actionability checks. I just directly want to perform the action. I don't want to perform this actionability checks. For example, I want to perform the click action, but I don't want to verify visible, stable or not. I don't want to put all these things. Then what we can do, we can apply force option. That means we can forcefully perform the action without performing actionability checks. That is possible. Okay, that is possible. So how it is possible, how we can make it happen? For example, let's go back to the script. And here we performing two expectations. So these are the these are the assertions. Here the force actions are not performed. But when you come to the actions, so here we are filling something. You're clicking on the button, right? So normally if I execute these two statements, actionability checks will be executed. So for example, if I go back here, when I say click action, all three, four actions will be performed internally, right? But I don't want to perform those actionability checks. I directly want to execute fill method, or I directly want to execute click method without performing actionability checks. In that case, we can do force. Forcefully, we can fill the value, or forcefully, we can perform the click action. To put that option, what we can do is, as soon as you provided the value here, provide one comma, and in the curly brace, you can provide the option called force is true. So when I enable this option, then what will happen? This won't perform actionability checks. So force action means what? It will not, it will not perform, or it will not do actionability checks. It can just skip the actionability checks and it will forcefully perform the action. If it is a fill method, suppose if you are trying to perform click action also, you can do forcefully. So same thing here, we don't need any parameter, so we just pass only this one, force colon true. So this will forcefully click on the button without performing any actionability checks. Okay, so that is an advantage of force option. So what does it mean? So by default, auto waiting mechanism works for actions and also assertions. But if you want to avoid the actionability checks, then we can apply forcing action. To apply the forcing action, you can specify the force option either in action method or any assertion. We cannot specify the force action, but only the actions we can specify the force action. Okay. But by default for assertions, auto waiting mechanism works internally. Okay. So this is how exactly auto waiting works and force actions we can define. Understood everyone? So this is all about auto waiting. So what is an auto waiting? Before performing the actual action or before performing an assertion, before verifying something, it will perform some actionability checks. And after that only the main action will be performed. That is called auto waiting mechanism. But it will also internally follow the timeline. So for example, if you want to perform the click action, how many actionability checks it will perform? 4 different actionability checks it will perform. And what is the maximum timeout is 30 seconds. So within the 30 seconds, all 4 actionability checks should be completed and passed. Then only this main action will be completed. Suppose if one of the actionability check is got failed, it keeps waiting for that complete and passed. How much time it will wait? Maximum 30 seconds. If within 30 seconds, it is not able to complete these actionability checks, then it will return timeout error. Okay, it will return the timeout error. Okay, that is a problem. And within 30 seconds, if it is able to find that element, it will able to perform the actionability checks. Within 30 seconds itself, we can find that element, it will perform the action. So here we don't need to waiting commands. We don't need to bother about synchronization concept. By default, Playwright, JavaScript, TypeScript will follow the asynchronous nature and auto waiting mechanism will solve that problem. So unlike Selenium, so here we do not use any waiting statements. We don't need that concept here. Okay, do not compare with Selenium. So Playwright is having very, very good number of features when you compare with the Selenium. So waiting mechanism, we can simply avoid in Playwright. Why? Because Playwright itself will taking care of the waiting mechanism. Okay. So suppose if you don't want to perform this actionability checks, and then you can apply force. Otherwise, it is an optional field. It is not mandatory. Okay. So basically that will improve the performance of your code if you say forcefully, because it will try to avoid other actionable things. So it will try to improve the performance, right? So for example, within that 30 seconds, it should verify all the actionability checks. If you say if you apply force option, then what will happen? It will just try to avoid 4 actionable methods. So that will reduce some time and it will directly perform the action. Okay, understood everyone? So this is auto waiting mechanism. Auto waiting mechanism. So don't compare with the Selenium. So Selenium, so waiting statements are mandatory there. So we cannot do that. But here we can simply solve that synchronization problem using this auto waiting mechanism. Okay, right. So now let me show you. So we understood what is an auto waiting mechanism. So how we can set up the timeouts. So by default, actions and assertions, both are following the timeouts. So by default, it will wait for some time. For actions, 30 seconds is a maximum timeout. 30 seconds is a maximum timeout. That means 3000 milliseconds. For assertions also, it will follow the timeout. 5 seconds is the minimum timeout, maximum timeout for assertions. So how we can configure the timeout and where we can configure the timeout. Suppose I want to increase the timeout or I want to reduce the timeout for assertion timeout and actions timeout. So where we can do that? We can apply timeouts in 2 different places. One is we can set up the timeout inside the test. So that is specific to test, which is local setting. And if you want to apply the timeout globally, if you want to apply the timeout for all the tests, then we can do that setting inside the configuration file, playwright.config.ts file. Okay, so in the 2 places, we can do timeout setting. So let me show you how we can do the timeout setting. So I already discussed about the forcing actions, and then auto waiting is useful for reducing the flaky test. Flaky test is nothing but what? Sometimes it will fail, sometimes it will pass. That's called flakiness. So to avoid that kind of situations or reduce the flaky tests, we can use auto waiting mechanism. So it makes tests more stable and reliable and readable and maintainable. So that is the usage of auto waiting mechanism. So this is because of this feature, we can simply avoid wait statements in our automation scripts. Okay, now come to the timeouts. So there are two kinds of timeouts we have. So timeouts are applicable for assertions and as well as actions. If I look at their official documentation, so Playwright test has multiple configurable timeouts for various tasks. So the timeout we can set in for two things, for test, for expect. So test is nothing but what? The whole text, the complete test. And assertion is nothing but expect is nothing but what? Assertion. Expect is nothing but what? Assertion. So we can set the timeout for the entire test, or we can set the timeout for expectations. Expectation in the sense assertions. Okay, we can set the timeout for entire test. We can set the timeout for specific to assertion. So these two things are possible. All right, so we can set the time in two different places. One is, let's say, test timeout. Let us talk about test timeout. So to set the timeout for test, by default 30 milliseconds, 30,000 milliseconds means 30 seconds is the maximum default timeout. So what is the timeout defines? Timeout defines how long a single test is allowed to run, how much time it should take to run the entire test. That is all about timeout. Okay, so to set the timeout for the entire test, either we can write inside the test, which is local, applicable for only test, or we can make it a global. That means which is allowed, which is applicable for all the test. First, let us look at the global. So if I go back to this configuration file, config.ts file, here it is, playwright.config.ts file, and look at this. And here I have not configured any timeout. So if I look at this entire document, by default, there is no timeout configured anywhere. By default, 30 seconds is set. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to set our own timeout. So where we need to set inside the define config. So go to export default define config. So by default, you can see that inside this, you can see the test directory and other stuff. So in this, we can add, suppose if you want to change the timeout globally for all the tests, so then you can write this. And by default, you won't see these entries. So you need to write your own entries. You need to write them manually. Okay. So to change the timeout globally for all the tests, you just need to specify timeout colon 60,000 milliseconds. You need to specify time in milliseconds. Okay, 60,000 milliseconds. So default is 30 milliseconds, that is 30 seconds. But if you want to customize the timeout, you can simply add this entry. And by default, this entry will not be there. You need to add it manually. Okay, where you need to add inside the define config. This is a one place. This is a test timeout. So the whole test, and it is applicable for all the tests which we created inside the project. So not only single test, it is applicable for all the tests which we have created inside the project. This is called test timeout, right? So the same thing, you can also specify the specific to test. For example, this is applicable for all the tests, but I don't want to add this timeout for all the tests. I want to add the timeout only for specific text. So then what we can do, we can just comment here and go to the test. And here we can add timeout for test level. So to add timeout for test level, you can use one method here. So here we are writing some piece of code, right? So before that, here you can write one statement, test dot set timeout, test dot set timeout, and here you can specify whatever timeout you want. This is again 60 seconds. 6,000 milliseconds means 60,000. 60 seconds. Sorry, it is 60,000 milliseconds. So this is the another way. So this is a local. This timeout is applicable for only this particular test. It won't applicable for any other test. Okay. But if you set the global timeout here, so then this is applicable for all the tests. For example, I enable here and also I put timeout for the test. So then which one will be applicable? Can you guess which one will be applicable? In the configuration file, timeout is 60,000. In the test, I'll put, let's say 50,000 milliseconds. Then which one will be applicable? Global or local? Which one will be applicable? So this is overridden. So whatever the timeout we set in the global, in the configuration file, this time will be overridden by the time which we specified inside the test. Okay, so 50,000 seconds maximum timeout will be followed. Okay, so this is the how we can set the timeout in two different places. One is in the configuration file, we can set this is the global applicable for all the tests. And this is a local, which is applicable for only the test. So maximum 50 seconds of time, it will wait for the test or complete the test. Okay, this is test timeout. This is all about test timeout. So 30 milliseconds is a default timeout and we can set the timeout 60 seconds or more than that. So if you want to set in the configuration file, you need to add this entry. And if you want to set in the test level or local, then you can add this entry. Okay. So this is our test timeout. Now we also have timeout for expect. Expect in the sense assertions. So for assertions, the default time is 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a default timeout and we can change that. And also the expect timeout also we can configure inside the configuration file and also inside the test. In both the places we can configure. Suppose if you want to configure assertion timeout, then go to configuration file and then write this element. So this timeout is for what? Test. Global is applicable. And this is for what? Expect. So you need to write the expect colon and in the curly braces, you can specify timeout colon time. So if you write only this becomes the test timeout. But if you write like this, expect colon, in the curly braces, you put timeout colon 100, then this is becomes the timeout for expect. Timeout for expection. Okay, so both are different. So you can put both, not a problem. This is applicable for test. This is applicable for only assertions, only for expectations. Okay, remember this. So this is again global settings. This is again global. 5 seconds is a default. And I just put 10,000 means what? 10 seconds maximum timeout. Okay, so here you can put that. And same expect timeout, you can also set inside the test. And if I look at this, go to the test again. So how we can set the expect timeout? So to test the expect timeout, we can specify one command here. Before that, we don't specify anything, but at the time of writing the assertion, we can set the timeout. So for example, here I put visible. So I want to wait. I want to set timeout for this expectation, especially only this one. So then how we can set the timeout? Simply you can write in the curly brace here. In the curly brace, you can simply write timeout colon and just specify the time like this, 10 seconds or 5 seconds or 15 seconds, something like this. So we can specify the timeout for expect inside the test like this. Similarly, if you have any number of assertions, you can specify. So for example, to have URL. So for this also, we can specify the timeout. So how we can do that? Same thing. You can add it here, comma, and then specify like this. So now we have applied timeout for assertion expect. We can also apply timeout for assertion. Each assertion also we can put some timeout. So these are the two different ways. So if you put the timeout inside the settings file, configuration file, config.ts, that is applicable for all the tests and all the expectations, all the assertions. But if you specify the timeout inside the test, that is applicable for the specific test. And also the timeout we specified for expectation is applicable for only this particular assertion. And this timeout is applicable for only this particular expectation, like that. Okay. So we can set the timeout for test and also assertion. So the timeout we can specify either in the config.ts file or we can specify inside the test. So whatever we specified inside the test, which is completely local, which is specific to this particular test. These are not applicable for any other test. But when you specify the configuration here in the config.ts file, which is applicable for all the tests, all the assertions. Okay. So that is all about timeouts. Okay. And if you specify both, then local values, whatever you specified inside the test will be replaced. So the old value, whatever we have in the configuration file, these values will be override with the new values which we specified inside the test. Okay, so these options we can use at the time of writing the tests. Okay, and there is another timeout ISO. So you can say test.timeout is 50,000. We can set. Suppose I want to triple the timeout. So by default, what is the timeout for the test? Default timeout for the test is what? 30 seconds, right? So 30 seconds is a default timeout. So I want to triple the timeout. I want to triple the timeout. So in that case, what we can do is we can use another method here, test.slow. You can use this method. So this is also for setting the timeout in test level. But what this test.slow will do, it will basically triple the timeout. So for example, default timeout is 30 seconds. So this will make 90 seconds. Okay, so this will make the 90 seconds. So default is 30 seconds. So this is another method which we have, but we rarely use this, but most of the time we prefer this. Test.set timeout or test.slow. So what we have understood here, we can set the timeout for two. One is for test and another is for expected. For test timeout, default is 30 milliseconds. Sorry, 30 seconds. For expect, default timers 5 seconds. And we can configure the timeout in two different places. One is in configuration file, another is inside the test. Same thing, expect timeout also we can configure in the configuration file or in the test directly. For every expectation, we can add maximum timeout. So this is the concept of timeouts and auto waiting features from Playwright. So because of these features, we can simply ignore the waiting statements in Playwright. Okay. So this is how it will exactly works. Okay, so I'll come to that. Even if there isn't a value, we can, I'll talk about this just a moment. So there are two things actually. There are some assertions which will wait, which will follow auto waiting concept, but there are some other type of assertions which will not follow the auto waiting concept. Okay, there are two categories are there. I'll tell you that. So is this concept clear so far? What is an auto waiting and how to set the timeouts? So far we have discussed only these two things. I will come to the another part. So once is auto waiting. So very important entry questions you will get in interview also. So what is an auto waiting and how it exactly works? So auto waiting means what? Before performing any action or before performing any assertion, it will it will go through some actionability checks. So after completion of actionability checks or after passing actionability checks, then the main action will be performed or the main assertion will be performed. So that is auto waiting feature. And what is a forceful action? So whenever you specify this force option true, that will forcefully perform the action without checking the actionability checks. Okay. And what is a timeout? Timeout is nothing but how long the test should wait or how long the expectation should wait. That is decided by the timeout. So the timeout we can define in two different places, either in configuration file or within the test. So whatever timeouts we define inside the test, they are local, applicable for only that particular test. And whatever timeout we specified in the configuration file, they are global, applicable for all the tests. And if you specify both the timeouts, configuration file and also inside the test, then inside the test, whatever timeouts we specified, that will be considered. Okay, so this is the concept of auto waiting and timeouts. Okay, now let us come to the uh, assertions. Playwright assertions. Okay. So we have understood what is assertion means, right? What is an assertion? What is the definition of assertion? Assertion is a validation point, right? It is a checking point. It will check something on the web page or some element or some text. So we use assertions. So basically assertions will be used to verify something on the web page. So we specify what we have expect and what is an actual value. So it will compare both and accordingly assertion will may pass or maybe failed. Now, so let us look at what are the different assertions are supported in Playwright and how we can work with them. So I'm just searching for assertions document. Just try to understand this. So documentation is very, very clear. We can go through the documentation. We can understand. Okay. Now, what is an assertion? So Playwright includes a test assertions in the form of expect function. All assertions we can put by using expect function. So these are some assertions they have given. Let's say expect success to be truthy and expect some page.getByTest. This is the locator and to have text or something. So these both are assertions actually. Okay. So some assertions will follow auto retrieving process, auto retrieving assertions and non-retrieving assertions. So there are two categories of assertions we have. Listen carefully, which is very, very important topic in Playwright, even interview perspective also. There are two kinds of assertions we can use in our automation test. One is auto retrieving assertions and non-retrieving assertions. Auto retrieving, non-retrieving assertions. So what is auto retrieving assertions? Auto retrieving assertions will follow the timeout. Okay, so far we discussed about the timeouts, right? So by default, the auto retrieving assertions will follow the timeouts. For example, if I look at this, these two assertions to have this particular URL and to locator to be visible. These are all auto retrieving assertions. Auto retrieving assertions. So they will follow the timeouts. They will follow the timeouts. But there are some assertions, they won't follow the timeouts. They are called non-retrieving assertions. Okay, so what is the main difference between these two kind of assertions? So if I look at auto retrieving assertions, most of the times we put these assertions on the locator itself. You can see this expect function is taking locator as a parameter. Locator as a parameter. So we are applying all these assertions on the locators or on the page. Locator or on the page, whatever assertion we put on the locators or page, we call them auto retrieving assertions. By default, all these assertions are auto retrieving. They will follow the timeout. Okay. Whereas non-retrieving assertions, we put on the values, not on the locators. If I look at these functions, expect value to be, expect value to be close to, expect value to be defined, expect value to be falsy. You can see these are all assertions will pass value as a parameter. We don't put this assertion on the elements. We put these assertions only on the values. So do we need to interact with the page if we put this kind of assertions? We don't need to interact with the page, right? Suppose if we want to put this assertion, we need this locator from the web page. But if you put this non-retrieving assertions, we don't need any web page. We don't need to wait for the web page. We don't need to wait for any element, right? But if you go to the auto retrieving assertions, we need to wait for the element. We need to wait for the page because we need to capture this locator. We need to capture the page from the web page. So auto waiting mechanism works on these assertions. Auto retrieving assertions means what? Auto waiting mechanism works on this type of assertions. Whereas non-retrieving assertions, auto waiting mechanism won't work. So for these assertions won't follow any timeouts. They won't follow any timeouts. Okay. So the assertions allow to test any conditions, but do not auto retrieve. Do not auto retrieve means auto waiting mechanism won't work. So most of the time, web pages show information asynchronously, and using non-retrieving assertions can also lead to flaky tests. Sometimes in case, whatever validation you put here, using this non-retrieving assertions, if it is depends on the page, for example, and pages are loaded in asynchronously. In those cases, is a very, very special case. In those cases, it may cause some flaky test. Flaky test means sometimes it may pass, sometimes it may be failed. Okay. So there is a problem in this. So these are the two kinds of assertions: auto retrieving assertions and non-retrieving assertions. Non-retrieving assertions. So non-retrieving assertions won't follow any timeout. So that is the reason we cannot specify the timeout for this non-retrieving assertions. We can specify the timeout only for auto-retrieving assertions. By default, it will follow 5 seconds. But if you want to add our own timeout, you can add them inside the assertions. That is possible. But here, non-retrieving assertions, we cannot specify the timeout because it won't follow any timeout. So directly it will straightforward, it will execute. It will just verify the condition, value to be equal or not, value is not equal or not. So based on the values, the non-retrieving assertions works. Based on the locators and pages, auto retrieving assertions will work. And that is the reason for this auto retrieving assertions are are asynchronous. So we have to use wait in front of the assertions. But here, non-retrieving assertions are not asynchronous. So we no need to put await statement in front of the expect. So these are the differences between auto-retrieving assertions, non-retrieving assertions. And auto-retrieving assertions will keep on locators and pages. Non-retrieving assertions, we keep it on the values. And auto-retrieving assertions are asynchronous in nature. So we should put await. And non-retrieving assertions are not asynchronous. So we should no need to put the await in front of this. Okay, understood the differences between auto retrieving assertion or non-retrieving assertions. So now I will write one simple test. You should tell me which one is auto waiting assertion and which one is not retrieving assertion. So these are the two kinds of assertions which we have: non-retrieving assertions, auto retrieving assertions. Clear, everyone? So theoretical part. So I will show you the practical example on this. So on what type of assertions the timeout is possible? Only auto retrieving assertions timeout is possible. But non-retrieving assertions, timeout is not possible. Okay, remember. All right, so now let me just go to the script and I will create another test. Let's go, and for now, I'm just trying to comment these timeouts. I don't need this. Right, so now let's go back to the test. So I just create another test. Okay. So I'm trying to create same test. I'll just try to copy. Okay, I'll create another one for assertion especially. So go to the test, new file, assertions.spec.ts. Okay, so in this, I'm going to import something. Okay, so I will also write one simple test here and just note it down. Observe this carefully. This is a one simple test I have written. So I'm launching the page, and after that, I'm verifying the URL is present or not, the URL is correct or not. And then I'm verifying the welcome message visible or not. And after that, I'm verifying the feature products are displayed or not. These are the two assertions I put. So go to this page once again. Okay. So in this page, as soon as you launch the page, I'm verifying that assertion. So verifying the URL on the page is correct or not. That is the one assertion I put here. Then I'm verifying welcome to our store is visible or not. And here, this is welcome to store is visible or not. I'm just put one assertion. And feature products text is displayed or not. So here, feature products text is displayed or not. So this is another assertion I put. And these are all assertions. And when you come here, I'm capturing the title of the page. And on the title also, I put one assertion. You can see title includes demo web shop. This title will return true or false. And then comparing this to be truthy. This is one type of assertion. And here I'm getting the text content of welcome to our store. For example, this is the one. I'm capturing the text from this, storing into the welcome text and comparing with some other text. So this is another type of assertion. And then, yeah, look at this first too. So if I look at this particular assertion, is it auto retrieving or non-retrieving assertion? So because we are dealing with the page or the locator comes under what? Auto retrieving assertions. So if I look at here, these assertions are comes under auto retrieving assertions. Means what? Automatically retrieves until it passes or timeouts. So these assertions will retrieve the until it passes. If it is passed, that's fine. If it is not passed, it will wait for maximum timeout, which is 5 seconds. So these are all auto retrieving assertions because we are dealing with the pages. And here we are dealing with the locator. So this is the locator actually. So this is also locator. So we are dealing with the pages and the locator. So these are all comes under auto retrieving assertions. Auto retrieving assertions. Now, if I look at this, here I'm capturing the title of the page and I'm comparing the title of the page includes a demo website. This will return true. This command includes method will return true or false. And the Boolean value will be written. That I am comparing with the to be truthy. So here we are comparing with the value, not the locator, not the page. So this comes under non-retrieving assertions. It is not auto retrieve. It won't follow the timeout. Similarly, another assertion you can look at this. This is the locator element. From that locator, I'm capturing the text content, storing into the text and comparing that. The text to contain welcome. So this is also non-retrieving assertion. Why? Because we are comparing with the value, not the element. Okay. So this is example. These are the examples for auto-retrieving assertions and non-retrieving assertions. And there is another option called negating matches. Negating matches are nothing but what? So whatever assertions which we have, we can also make them opposite. Negation. For example, let's say here I'm verifying this element, this welcome to our store to be visible. But I'm expecting it should not be visible. For example, opposite way. I'm expecting it should not be visible. Then you can use not. Same locator, same expectation, but instead of dot to visible, before that you can simply say dot not. This is called negating matcher. So this negating matcher is applicable for all kinds of assertions. So for example, let's go back to here. This is called negating matcher. So we can apply simply not. And this is applicable for both retrieving assertions, non-retrieving assertions, not will be walked. So for example, let's say this is the one assertions. How we can make it as negative? Await expect locator dot not dot to be attached. Same this one also. Await expect locator dot not dot to be checked. So before performing actual verification, just put not. So that becomes a negation, negative assertion. And that is applicable for non-retrieving also. So for example, here expect value dot to be. I can put not before to be. So expect value dot not dot to be. So not you can put everywhere. So you can look at this. I have applied not. So this is auto retrieval assertion. And this is not auto read. This is non-retrieving assertion. So in the both the places, I can use not. This is the opposite way we can put assertion. So if you are expecting this to be visible, then you can say to be visible. If you are expecting this should not be visible, then you can say not to be visible. Okay. So auto retrieving assertions, then non-retrieving assertions, negating matcher. So this negating matcher is applicable for both auto retrying and non-retrying assertions. It is applicable for both auto-retrieving and non-retrieving assertions. Okay. So let me try to execute. So definitely these two will fail because we are putting the negative condition. So for now, I just comment this. Go to terminal, new terminal. So assertions.spec.ts. Right now, launching the page, it is trying to verify all the assertions on the web page. Okay, now it is get passed. So let me enable these two. So we use not. So definitely these both should be failed. Both should be failed. Now I'm running once again. So whenever it is encoding failure, how much time it will wait? 5 seconds default timeout. So now you can see 5,000 milliseconds waiting for expect. That means this is a minimum timeout. It is waited and it is got failed. Okay. So these are the a few types of assertions. So we have auto retrieving assertions means what? It will follow auto waiting concept. It is possible to specify the timeout for them. But non-retrieving assertions not followed auto retrieving concept. So timeout is also not applicable. And negation of matcher means we can simply add not before the actual assertion method. And this is applicable for both auto retrieving and non-retrieving assertions. Clear, everyone? So far. So this is important concepts. Please confirm in the chat box auto waiting concept. How we can use this particular feature. These are all default features available in Playwright. So we don't need to bother about synchronization concept in Playwright. But Selenium, it is very important. But in Playwright, it will automatically take care of it. Okay, so now I will discuss another type of assertions. So in this, we have seen three categories or two categories, auto-waiting assertions and non-retrieving. So auto-retrieving assertions, non-retrieving assertions. Similarly, we also have another two categories, soft assertions and hard assertions. So whatever assertions we have used here, all are comes under hard assertions. All are comes under hard assertions. We can also have soft assertions. So let me show you what is hard assertion, what is soft assertions, how exactly they will work. I'm creating a new file, hard versus soft assertions. Specs, hard versus soft assertions. Okay, so hard versus soft assertions dot spec dot ts. So this concept is there in TestNG also. When you're working with the Selenium TestNG, you have hard assertions and the soft assertions. So to demonstrate this again, I'm trying to create a simple test. So let me copy this from previous one. Auto waiting, yeah. All right. So I'll try to remove all these things. I'm trying to launch the page. I'll remove all this assertion for now. Okay. Simple test. Okay. So now I'm trying to import test and expect functions. And this is a simple function which we create a simple test. So in the test, I first launch my page. And after that, I will try to add some piece of code. So let's start with the hard assertions. First, how exactly they behave. Hard assertions. So as soon as you launch this particular page, I will try to put some assertions. Okay. So I have a three different type of assertions. Let's say go to the page first. And the first assertion, I want to verify this title of the page. So page title. So I can say inspect the page and go to header. And this is the title. I just want to verify the page. So I can say expect and how can we capture the title of the page? Expect page dot title. So this is the direct method available to have title. To have title. So you can also use page dot title method that will return the title in the text format. Then you can put another assertion. That is another way we can do. I'm directly saying expect page dot to have title. And here this is the title I'm expecting. This is one assertion I put. And also I'll put another assertion. Expect page dot to have URL. So I'm also verifying the URL of the page. So this is the URL I'm trying to expect on the page. And similarly, I will also try to put another assertion. let's say logo is visible or not. So let me inspect this logo element. And this is the logo element. And for this, let me capture the CSS. So this is the CSS of the element. Let me capture and just verifying it is visible or not. Go back, expect. And so in this, now we need to capture the locator first, right? So logo element we need to capture. So what I will do, I will try to put await page dot locator. And this is the locator element. This is actually the locator of the image or the logo element. So this is an element is visible or not, I want to verify. So I can store them in a variable called logo. Just make it as constant. So this is the element. Locator will return the locator, right? So this logo is visible or not. Logo dot to be visible. Right? So this is the assertion I get. Now you tell me how many assertions I put here. 1, 2, 3 assertions, totally 3 assertions, right? So are they comes under auto retrieve assertions or non-auto retrieve assertions? Which category comes under all this? I'm using page, referring page and locators also, right? Page and locator. So these assertions comes under auto retrieving assertions. See here I'm using locator element and this is a page and this is a locator. Did I put any assertions on the values? No. All assertions I placed on the page or the locator. So these assertions are comes under auto retrieving assertions, the first category which I have discussed, right? So all 3 assertions, even this is also comes under auto retrieving. Why? Because what is this logo? Logo is not a value. Logo is a locator, right? Logo is a locator. That's not a value. So 3 assertions are comes under auto retrieval assertions only. Remember that. Okay. Now, let me try to run this code. Just observe. I'll just put some wait time also. And this wait time is for just passing the script. Okay, it is not applicable for exceptions or assertions or test. It's just for passing the page for some time. Await page dot wait for timeout. Let's wait for 5,000 milliseconds. See, I put 3 assertions. Suppose if you don't want to create a separate locator like this, you can also keep this inside this logo. And await is required or not for every expectation? For every function, await is required or yes, because these are all asynchronous. So you must specify the await. In front of every assertion, you must specify the await. Is mandatory. Okay. Now 3 assertions I put. Now go and execute them. So assertions, hard versus soft assertions, right? Hard versus soft assertions dot spec dot ts header. So now I put 3 assertions and here we don't need await because it is returning the locator, right? So now no test form. There is a spelling mistake. So let me copy the name. Spec dot ts. Okay, so now it is started launching my page and it is done all the validations, logo validation and title validation, URL validation. Okay, my test is got passed. So all 3 assertions are got executed and passed. So if I look at this report, npx playwright show hyphen report. So in the report, you can see all the npx playwright insert command npx playwright show hyphen report. Npx playwright show hyphen report. I think address is already in use. Okay, that's not a problem. Okay, I think this port is locked by some other tool. Okay, no problem. So let me just clear this for now. So all three assertions are successfully executed, right? So what is hard assertions? These are all comes under hard assertions. Hard assertions means, for example, if any assertion is got failed and rest of the code will not be executed, it will basically terminate the test. So among three assertions, this is one assertion, second and third assertion. Among these three assertions, even one of the assertion is got failed, rest of the code will not be executed in hard assertions. For example, I'll make my first assertion fail. Let's say I make title is different. So intentionally, I'm failing the first assertion. So this assertion definitely will fail. Because of this failure, rest of the assertions will not be executed. Look at this. So first assertion is failed, so rest of them will not be executed. So now it is get stopped here. And yes, now look at this. So the first assertion title we are expecting different, but actual title is different. So now it is get failed. See the flow. So this is got failed, expected to have titles failed, and rest of the assertions are not executed. It is simply terminated the code. Now let's go back to the soft assertions. So in hard assertions, what is the meaning of hard assertions? If any assertion is got failed, it will terminate the test immediately. It won't continue the rest of them. But my requirement is, even though the assertion is got failed, still the rest of the assertions I want to validate. So suppose if this is got failed, just mark it as a failed, but I just want to continue with the rest of the assertions or rest of the code. So in that case, you can use soft assertions. Okay. Now how we can use soft assertions? Very simple. Just to copy the same and we can make them as a soft assertions. It's very straightforward and very simple. Instead of hard assertions, I can add soft assertions. To add soft assertions, what we can do is same assertions, but instead of expect, we just use soft. So for example, let's say these are the hard assertions by default. So to make them soft assertions, you can simply say expect dot soft. That's it. So for every expect, simply add soft. For every expect, you can simply add soft. So that becomes a soft assertions. Simple. So expect dot soft is a soft assertion. Only expect is a hard assertion. And rest of the things are exactly same. So now what will be the behavior now? The first assertion will definitely fail and it will mark it as a failed, but rest of the assertions will execute without termination of the test. Okay, now go back to terminal and then execute once again. Even though one assertion is got failed, rest of the assertions will be continued. First one definitely will fail, but rest of the assertions will execute and they will pass. Okay, now you can see the report. So this is the data about the first assertion, which matched, so it is got failed. Now you can see the steps here. So this is the assertion got failed. But what about the rest of the things? Have URL is passed, to be visible is also passed. Right? These two assertions are got passed, executed and they're passed. Only this assertion is got failed and marked as a failed. So this is a soft assertion. Hard assertion and a soft assertion. So now you understood the difference between these two. So the soft assertion can be there in both actual, again, asynchronous and asynchronous. Means auto retrieving assertions, non-retrieving assertions also, we can use soft assertions. Hard assertions and soft assertion. So hard assertion means what? If any assertion is got failed, rest of the code will not be executed. The test will be terminated. If hard assertions is got failed, it is marked as a failed, but rest of the code will be continued or rest of the code will be executed. That is the difference between hard assertion and soft assertion. So depends on your requirement. You can use either hard assertion or soft assertions. So that means if you have a multiple assertions in one single test, you can prefer soft assertions. Or if you have only one assertion for single test, you can go with hard assertion. So most of the time we will have only one single assertion for one single test. If you have multiple validations, you will write multiple tests. So if you have one assertion in one single test, we can go with hard assertion. If you have a multiple tests included inside the multiple validations or multiple assertions are included in one single test, then go for soft assertions. Okay. Yes. Even though if you are using soft assertion, wherever it is no, it is mismatched, that will fail. It is marked as a failed. But what is an advantage of soft assertion is it will still continue the rest of the assertions. So that's the main advantage. Okay, even though the one assertion is got failed, only that part will show failed. But rest of the assertions will mark it as a passed. Okay, but if you talk from overall test point of view, all assertions should pass. Then only I can say my test is passed, right? Only one assertion, based on only one assertion, I cannot decide whether test is passed or not. So whatever assertions I put inside the test, all assertions should pass. Eventually, then only I can say test is passed. Okay. So this is hard assertions and soft assertions. Hard assertions and soft assertions. Now, so far we have understood few important features. Auto waiting feature, which is one of the very important feature. Then timeouts, how we can set the timeouts, and what are the different type of assertions. So auto retrieving assertions, non-retrieving assertions, and hard assertions and soft assertions. Okay. So now I'm trying to introduce another feature from Playwright, which is test generator or code gen. Very important feature. Listen carefully. Test generator or code gen. So far, we are trying to write automation script just by writing the code. So we are creating or we are writing our own code. Manually, we are writing everything, right? Even assertions and everything we do manually. So in Playwright is provided one tool or one component called test generator, which is also called as a code gen. By using that feature, we can record all the steps from the application. Okay, we can record and it will automatically generate the code. So we no need to write even single line of code, including assertions. It will automatically generate the test. So that particular feature is available in Playwright, which is called as test generator feature or code gen command. And which is having so many other good features. We can automatically inspect the elements. We can also do debugging process. Lot many things we can do. So let me introduce that particular feature. So how to record the test, how to automatically generate the test without manual intervention. Okay, that's what I'm going to show you. So close this. Now I have not created any test, right? I want to generate the test. I want to automatically record the test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the terminal. So we have one command here. We have a command npx playwright code gen. npx playwright code gen. So this is the command. So this command, we are not running anything actually. We are just running the code gen component. Code gen is a test generator component. So when I run this command, this will open a new window for you like this. And you no need to do anything with the VS Code. You can just minimize it. You can minimize the VS Code. I'm just closing all other windows. Right now, look at this. So this is a new window is opened. And also parallelly, you can see one browser window also opened. So as soon as you type the command npx playwright code gen, that is automatically open this Playwright inspector window, which is called Playwright inspector window. And other side, you can see the browser window, right? So now what we need to do is we need to start recording the test. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to perform the steps on the browser. Just observe carefully. So here, I'm also trying to maximize the code, right? So this is a Playwright inspector window and this is our browser. Now I'm trying to perform all the steps and look at here parallelly it is automatically generating the script. Now I'm launching the page here, some application. See this? As soon as you launch my page on the browser, it is added one statement. Await page.goto, and you can see the URL. One step is done. Now, I'm clicking on the login. See this? It opened the login window also. Now you can see get by role link, login, click. One action is generated. Now I'm passing the username in the input box. So to pass the username in input box, I'm just clicking on the username field. Then I'm passing some username. Also, I'm passing the password here. And then I'm clicking on the login button. See this? It is generated all the steps, whatever we have done on the application. And login button is got clicked. And after that, I want to perform logout click. I just click on the logout. Done. So now the script is got generated like this. Now what we need to do, we need to just copy the test. How to copy this entire test? You can simply say copy option is available. Copy. After copying, just close the window. If you close the window, automatically the inspector window also will be closed. Now I'm closing everything. Now go to the test. Here you can create your own test. I say Codegen test.spec.ts, and then I will paste the code, complete code, whatever is generated, I just paste it over here. And in this particular code, if you see any unwanted steps, you can just simply remove them. For example, on the login username, I don't want to click actually. I can directly fill the value, so I can remove that. Similarly, password, I don't want to click, you can simply remove that. So I have simply generated the test. Even also you can add assertions in the inspector window. I'll show you that. So simply whatever the code which is generated in Codegen window, inspector window, I just copy that and paste it over here. And here you can simply run it. npx playwright test codegen test.spec.es -head. So now you are able to run the test. Now you can look at this, open the login, successful login, click on the logout. This is simple workflow now. So I will show you some more additional options. So what is the problem in this? Do you see any limitation in this? I open the window by using this command, Codegen window, it opens. I recorded the test and it is generated the script. I manually copy the test, manually copy the entire code, and then again come back and create a new file, and then I copied here, right? So this is again manual task. Assertions we can add, okay? So in inspector window itself, at the time of generating the steps, we can also add assertions parallelly. That is possible. But there is another problem in this. Whenever you copy this code from the inspector window, you need to create this file manually. Then you need to paste here. Then you can run it. Right, but I don't want to create this file. I don't want to copy the code manually. It should automatically happen. Then how it is possible? That is possible. So for example, let's say again, this time I remove the file. I just completely delete the file. Now what I want to do is I will open the code generator window. I will record all the steps. Okay, I will record all the steps. And whatever steps I recorded, I just want to copy them automatically into a test file. And the test file also should automatically create. I don't want to create the test file like spec.ts manually. That file also should automatically create. And whatever steps I recorded in the Codegen window, that should automatically copied in the file. So that is possible by providing some more options in the command. So normally what is the command we are using to open the Codegen window? npx playwright Codegen, right? This is the command we are running. So this command will just open the window. And whatever the code which we generated, we just copy them manually and create the new file, and we have to do everything manually. But now I want to avoid that manual process. Simply what you can do, npx playwright codegen -o means O is representing the output. So -o, whatever the output is generated in the code window, the whatever code is got generated, we need to copy that code inside the file. So we need to specify where you want to copy the script. So inside the test folder, I will create my file codegen test.spec.ts. This is the additional command which we need to provide. So npx playwright codegen, this will actually open the codegen window. And once you generated the code, that will automatically copy inside the file. And do we have this file now? I have already deleted that file. I don't have that file. So this command will create that. So -o and provide the path of the file. So there is another option. Instead of -o, you can also say -output. This is also another option which you have. Either you can -o or you can use -output. So you can use one of the command, right? So -o or -output. So this command will automatically do everything. Just observe carefully now. I'm executing this command. So this is opened the window. So as of now, the codegen test.spec file is not available in my test. Okay, remember that. Now it is open the codegen window, Playwright Inspector window, and the my page. Observe carefully. This time I will also add assertions automatically. Just look at this. I'm trying to maximize this window so that you can clearly see the steps. Okay. Now, see this. I'm trying to perform the same steps along with the validations. So I'm trying to launch my page. See, one step is got created. I'm trying to launch the page. One step is got created. Now I want to add one validation. What is that? Product store. That logo is present or not. So I want to add some validations. What you can do is here you can find some options. So this option is for asset visibility. Asset visibility. This is asset text. This is asset value. This is asset snapshot. So these are the multiple options which are available to add assertions. The same options you can also look at here. On the browser window also you can see the record. If you want to stop the record, you can click on the button. By default, it is open in the recorded mode. So here you can see these options. So this is asset visibility, asset text, asset value, and here asset snapshot. So there are multiple assertion options are there. Now I want to put some assertion on this logo visibility. So how we can do that? You can take this option, asset visibility, click on it and show the element on which element you want to put visibility assertion. Just click on it. Now you can see await expect, capture the element to be visible. Assertion is also added. Assertion is also added. And similarly, you can put different assertions on the different elements. Now let me continue the flow. I'm clicking on the login button. See, login click action is created. Now I will provide some username here. And also I will provide password. And again, click on the login. So now I want to add some more assertions here. So I want to add assertion on logout is visible or not. Logout is visible or not. So how we can add assertion? So you can take visibility test, or you can take text also we can verify. So I'll show the text later. So let's take this one. Asset visibility. So take this option and logout visible or not. I'm just showing that element. Now you can see assertion is added on the logout is visible or not. And apart from that, I will also verify the text content. So for example, let's say, welcome to Pavan OL. This is the username. So I want to verify the text of the element. I want to verify the text of the element, means value of the element. So then you can take another one. So asset text. We have seen asset visibility. We can use asset text. So click on this AB, asset text, and show that element. And it is showing the text. So you need to confirm, is that the text you want to validate? Yes, you need to click on the arrow mark, tick mark. Then assertion is got added. See, contains the text welcome. Right? And after that, I am clicking on the logout. Done. So now observe the beauty here. We have done all the steps, added required assertions. Now, as soon as you stop recording, I'm just stopping the record. Just click on the record. You can see the same options are available in the browser also. Okay. Now I'm just stopping the recording. I stopped. Now, as soon as you close my window, everything is got closed. Now, if I go back and see your Visual Studio Code, here the file is automatically generated. You can see the file is got created and automatically all the steps are copied here, including assertions. So this is the beauty of this command. So if you give only this command, you have to do manually. You need to record the steps, copy the steps, and create another file and paste the code. And to avoid the process, simply provide this additional option. And as soon as you have done everything, the file will be automatically created. The test, the script also automatically copied here, right? So now if you want to remove unwanted step, you can just remove them. So always customization is required as soon as you copied everything. Okay, so password click is not necessary. I can just remove it and rest of them. So this is a click is mandatory. This is one assertion, contains the text and logout click. So these are different assertions I put now. So let me run the test. Codegen test spec dot ts hyphen headed. See now it is logging, verified, everything is successfully passed. Okay, so this is how we can use Codegen. And there are multiple options are there. I will show you them. So we have seen this particular option. Now, suppose, let me clear this. And again, I'm trying to delete the file one more time. Okay. Suppose I just want to record the test in the different platform. Let's say different devices. We have a Chromium, we have a Firefox, and we have WebKit. These are the different browsers. And similarly, we also have a different devices. Like suppose Playwright is also supported running the test on the mobile browsers, like iPhone 15, 14, or any Android mobiles. So if you want to record the test on that particular UI, so then what we can do, we can specify the device also. For example, let's say same command, npx playwright codegen, again, same output file I'm giving, and you need to provide an option called device. Here in the double quotes, you need to provide the device name. So for example, I provide iPhone 14 or iPhone 16. Enter. See, it is giving some output. So if I look at this, these are the device. I have given intentionally incorrect value. If I look at this iPhone 16, I have given. If I provide an incorrect value, it will give you the available devices. So device descriptor not found. So this is not found so far in Playwright, but it is found at different options. And you can see here, these are the options you can provide. So these are the different devices you can provide. Even in if you come to the iPhone also. So here, these are the different iPhone versions are there. So till iPhone 15, I think available. So iPhone 14, 15 is also available, right? So you need to provide one of the device option. Just observe this. So I'm just writing the command one more time. And this is a command. Instead of iPhone 16, I will pass device name is iPhone 15. Just observe what will happen. When I run this code, again, it is trying to open the inspector window along with the browser window. See this? If you are open any browser on your mobile, it seems like this, right? Exactly in the same way. So now what exactly you are doing? You are generating the code on the mobile device and mobile browser. Okay. Now let me start recording the code. So to record the code, I'll try to launch my page. Same flow I'm doing. So just open the URL. And you can see steps are generated. I'm clicking on the login window open. This is how exactly it will work on mobile. So I'm providing username and password, login. And again, if you want to add assertions, you can add it. So after clicking on the login, I just want to add one assertion on logout. So if you want to add assertion, you can use visibility, or you can use assert text, or you can use value. So value means if you want to capture any value like prices, something like that, you can use value. So you can use assert text or this one. So I'm trying to use assert text, and this is the text I want to assert. So this is a text captured. Okay. And after that, I clicking on logout. and then I stop recording. So now where I have recorded all the steps on the mobile device. This is called simulator, mobile device simulator. So when I stop this recording is get stopped. And now once you close this and go back and see, the file is got created again. Where is created Codegen test.spec.ts. So now you can see this time I have added only one assertion on the text. Okay, so this is how we can create the test, and whichever platform you have, whichever browser also. For example, let's say this time, instead of device, I want to specify the browser. I want to specify the browser, a specific browser. So simply I can say -b, simple -b, Chromium, or we can say Firefox. You can use -b or you can use -browser. Both are correct. I will provide all the commands list later. So -browser. Either this is also correct. -browser, you can provide whichever browser currently it is supporting. Okay. So now when I execute this, see this, to open the window again. And this time it is launched my Firefox browser. You can look at this. This is my Firefox browser. Okay. And again, I'm trying to do the same steps. And if the file is already exist, we already created Codegen test file, right? If the file is already exists, the code will be overridden. So the old code will be replaced with the newly generated code, because already I have a file, but again, I'm trying to record the steps without removing the old file. So again, I'm launching the page. This is my Firefox browser, guys. Okay. Say login and providing username, password, click on the login. And then the script is got generated. And if you want to put assertion, I can put here. So for example, I'll put this assert text, assert value, and this time let us see assert snapshot. So snapshot in the sense the location of the element basically. Okay, snapshot in the sense the location of the element. Okay, so let's take the snapshot. And we need to show the element on which element you want to verify the snap. So mostly logos, we put the snapshot because the location of the logo should be exactly the same every time. So when I click on this snapshot, you can see it is added something, link, URL, and IMG. So these three things must be there for logo element. It is put some expectation on the logo. And after that, I clicking on the logout. So now this code is recorded on the Firefox. So now we have stop recording and you can close the window. And now you can see it is overridden. So you can see Codegen test.spec.ts. Now this time we have added another type of assertion. This is snapshot assertion. So now we can execute this. So we can say this one. So npx playwright test Codegen test.spec.ts and headed mode. And when you run headed mode, again by default it is running on the Chromium only, because in the configuration file we specify only Chromium. Yes. Okay, so this is not a visibility testing actually. This is a kind of a snapshot in the sense it's a combination of multiple things. So if I look at this logo element, I'll show you just a second. Okay, this is the element, right? So I put the snapshot assertion on the logo element. If I inspect this element, you can see certain attributes are there for this element. So this is the element actually. Inside the link IMG is there. So if I look at this is the name, product store, which is the actual text which is displayed on the logo. So that is a product store link. And what is the URL of this? The URL is this one. You can look at this. So this is the URL, index.html. So anchor tag, the image is included inside the anchor tag. So index.html. And this is the IMG tag. So it is getting some combination options or some options from this image and make it as one snapshot, which is called as a snapshot, the combination of multiple options. And every time whenever the logo, suppose placed in some other place or changed, so the entire snapshot will be verified. The link should be product store, URL should be this one, tag name should be IMG. So all three things will be verified in one single snapshot. Okay, that is the additional thing which is provided in inspector. Okay. So other than this, there are some more options are there. Let me show you. For example, I want to display the browser in whichever size I want. So by default, when I open this command, I'm removing the browser for now. I want to display the browser in whichever size I want. I can specify the size also. Browser size also we can specify. So for that, you can simply say hyphen viewport hyphen size, and viewport hyphen size, give one space, and in the double quotes you need to specify height and width of the web page. Let's say 1280 is a width, and height and width is, I say, 720. This is the actual standard height and width. So when you provide this option, you can see the page exactly in the same size, 1280 and 720. So try to execute again. I try to delete the file, which will automatically create it, and deleted the file. So now this file will automatically created after stopping recording. So now you can look at this. This is the inspector window, and this is the browser window. So this is a size. So viewport, whatever size we have given in the same size, it is displayed. So this is another option which we have. Now again, I'm repeating the same steps, launching the URL, clicking on the login, and provide username, password, clicking on the login, and then clicking on the logout. So if you want to add assertions, again, that is common process. Done. So once it is done, stop the recording and then close the window. So now you can see that file is automatically generated. So this is the file which is automatically generated, and some additional setting also added. Test.use view height and width is about added. So this is how we can also provide this option. There are various options are there in the code gen commands. Okay. Now, another important thing, we can also use this code gen window for debugging process. So debugging is very, very easy in Playwright. And there are various options are there to perform debugging in Playwright. So let me show you how we can debug it. So let us take the code. Let me remove this part for now. Right, this is my final code. Now I want to debug the code. Debug in the sense what? Step-by-step execution. So I want to execute the test in step-by-step. And also, yeah, viewport also we can configure in the config.ts file. So if I go back to the config.ts file, there also you can specify the viewport. So there is option here. So you can just enable this option. So this viewport is for what? All the tests. This is applicable for all the tests. So this is a global setting, and that is what we have seen is a local setting. Okay. And also we can set this using context. In the previous class, I have shown you how to set the viewport context in the context, page context. So that is also another option which we have. Right. So now let me show you the debugging process, how we can do debugging using inspector. So this is a simple test we have. So I want to execute them step by step. I want to see exact what are the actions it is doing. Okay. So what for that, you can go to the terminal. You already have the test. Now I want to debug that. So to run the test, normally what is the command we will execute? npx playwright test and the test name and hyphen added. So additionally, you can specify one more option here, hyphen debug. Hyphen debug. So this option, if you provide, now your test will run on a debug mode. So when I run this, enter, and this will again open the same inspector window. You can minimize this window. Now we can look at this. Okay, just a second. Yes. Now this is the Playwright inspector window. This is our browser. So no step is executed so far. You can look at this. I'm just maximizing the code. Okay, now we are starting execution one by one. So where it gets stopped in the first line, await page.goto. Now you want to continue further. So to continue further step by step, you can click on this button. So there is a button called next button, and F turn is a shortcut key. This is the one. step over. F10 is a shortcut key. So when I click on this, then it will go to the next step. Observe this. Launching the page. Now it is pointing on the login. You can see the red ball. So wherever the red ball is present, currently that particular element is highlighting. Now again, I'm clicking on the step over. Clicking on the login. Perfect. Now you can see it is pointing to the first input box. Now again, step over and provide the text. Now password box is highlighting. Step over. Step over. Password is provided. Now login is highlighted. Clicking on the login. So now it is successfully login. So only one step is pending here. Okay, so we can execute step by step like this. And if you want to run all the steps in one shot, you can use this option, resume F8. So this option will execute all the steps. And apart from this, when you execute step by step, you can see the locator will be generated here, the logs will be generated here, and area options also will be generated here. Okay, so let me show you once again. Let me run everything. So it is got closed. Now I'll show you how the logs will be reviewed. So again, I'm trying to execute the code. See this again, opens a window. This is my browser window and this is my inspector window. Just you focus on these three elements, locator, log, and area. Okay, now it is pointing to the first element, first line, fourth line, and clicking on the next step over. Now page is launched. Now in the first page, have you used any locator? No locators. Log is got generated. You can see this. So if I look at this, navigating to this page, and you can see all the options are provided in the log. So when I click on this login, it is performing all these actions. Internally, it is performing all these actions. Now, area. So currently there is no area template matched. Go to locator, there are no locators. So again, let me go to the next step. Click on the username. Username is provided, password is provided, clicking on the login. Clicking on the login. So now observe this. Once you click on the logout, it is successfully logged in. Now, how we can use this locator option? So suppose if you want to locate any element on the web page at the runtime, you can do that. For example, here it is generated some locator, get by role. And by default, this code inspector, Playwright inspector will use Playwright built-in locators. Okay, it won't use CSS or XPath. So by default, it is designed by using Playwright built-in locator. So every time you can see only built-in locators most of the times. Suppose if you want to locate any element, that is also possible inside the Playwright inspector. You don't need to use selector hub. You don't need to use any dev tools. Simply what you can do is there is an option here, pick locator. And the same option is also available somewhere here. It is not visible. So you can look at this. So pick locator. So click on this pick locator and you can locate whichever element you want. That will generate the locator. For example, I am locating something called about us. Clicking on the about us. See that locator is got generated. So this locator you can use in your automation script. So this inspector is not only for debugging process. At the time of debugging, suppose if it is not locating any element properly, then you can generate your own locator here and you can replace this locator inside your code. Similarly, I try to locate another element, let's say home. So the locator is got generated. So this locator tab will be used to generate the locators automatically, especially Playwright locators will be generated. So this feature will be very, very helpful. So to get the locators and log will be shown for every step, what exactly happening inside. It will show you each and every action. So we can see we are just filling the data in the username field, but internally, if I go back and see, these are the different actions are happening inside this, right? For every statement, different actions will be performed. So all the things will be captured in this. So currently the area, so where exactly we located. So whenever you locate some element, it is also captured the area where exactly that element is there. So URL, link, something, whatever it is there. So that will be, and this the same thing will be used in the snapshot validation. At the time of adding snapshot validation, so this information will be used. So we can automatically inspect the elements using the locator, and the logs will be generated and area will be generated. And if you want to copy the locator, I want to use this in our automation script. So then what we can do, we can just copy this and go back your test and open the test, and you can replace here. In the test, you can replace like this, wherever you want. So like that, you can get the locators of any element on the web page in this particular box. So what is the use of this inspector in this case? You can capture the locators. You can here the assertions are disabled. Why? Because we are opening the Playwright inspector in the debug mode. We are trying to open this for debugging purpose, not for generating the test. Remember, same code inspector, same Playwright inspector will be used for generating the test or generating the code and debugging the code. In the previously, we have seen how to generate the test. So in that time, the assertion options are enabled. But this time they are disabled because we are open this inspector box for debugging purpose, not for generating the test. Okay. So this is very, very helpful for debugging the purpose. Now you can execute all the steps one shot. So like that, we can also use Playwright inspector for debugging purpose. Code generator for generating the test, which is also called as a test runner. Test runner. Code gen is also called as a test runner. Okay. So let me show you something else. Some more feature is there in the code generator. So I'm not running in the debug mode. Simply remove this. npx. Again, I'm going back to the code gen. Just I forgot to show one option. npx playwright code gen. So output file I want to generate. I'll just remove the viewport for now. Okay, now I open this. And one more time, see the old code is got removed because I'm just trying to generate the new file. So just observe very carefully. By default, on which language the code is generating, TypeScript or JavaScript. You can look at this. So I'm launching the page. Again, I'm clicking on the login. Enter your username. Enter your password. Clicking on the login. And then log out. Okay, now I have recorded all the steps. Now I'm stopping the record. Now observe carefully. So in this window, by default, in which language it is? In the Playwright test. Either same thing, TypeScript or JavaScript. Okay. Now, if you want to convert this into some other language, because Playwright will support different languages, right? So we can convert this code into different language. So by default, test runner is using. Test runner is nothing but TypeScript. Okay. So if I go back and open this drop down, you can see the different options are available. So Node.js test runner is applicable for both JavaScript and also TypeScript. Suppose I want to convert this into Java. Then because Playwright will support Java also, then you can use Java JUnit. Now we can see the JUnit test is got generated in Java format. Same test, same steps, but in Java format it is generated. Now similarly, you can choose anyone. Python. Python we use PyTest. So take the PyTest. Now the same code is automatically generated in the PyTest. Similarly, whichever options are available, .NET. For example, let's say NUnit. So NUnit is a unit testing framework for .NET. So it is automatically generated. So this is the additional option which is available inside the Playwright inspector. So whichever language you want to convert the test, you can convert it. Okay. So by default, test runner is there. Why? Because we have installed Playwright using TypeScript. But if you are installed Playwright for Java or Python, so the default option will be JUnit or PyTest. So these are the options which you have. And if you want to change the view mode, you can just dark mode and light mode. You can just use it. And because you open the code generator for recording purpose, so all the options are enabled here now. You can say record. And here also you can pick the locator. So you can see locator log area. If you want to locate any element, you can just pick the locator, find the locator, and it will generate the locator. So not only for recording purpose, for identifying the elements or getting the locators also, you can use this Playwright inspector window. So there are multiple usages are there. So recording, debugging, getting the locators, So all these things will be possible using this Playwright Inspector, which is also called as a code gen window or test runner window. Okay. So try to play with this and you will be familiar with all these options. And again, you can see the debug options are disabled here. Why debug options is disabled? Because we have opened this Playwright Inspector for recording the test, not for debugging purpose. So the debugging options are disabled. But if you open the code gen window for debugging purpose, then the debugging options will be enabled and all assertions will be disabled. So this is how the Playwright Inspector will work, and very, very useful. You can generate the test, and I've shown you the shortcut options, right? So instead of creating the new file every time, you can just provide this option. This will automatically copy the code inside this file. Okay, so this is all about test runner window. So you can close the browser. As soon as you close the window, the test runner window also will be automatically closed. Okay, so understood all the features, debugging features in the code gen window, and there are so many other debugging options also there. And in the next class, I will continue that. Okay, we have a trace viewer, also option available for trace viewer. In the trace viewer also, we can trace and we can also capture the screenshot on the failures. We can record the test, only failure, so we can record, or every time we can also record, every time we can take the screenshot. There are n number of options are there to debug the test. So in the coming sessions, in the next class, we will discuss the other options, how to capture the screenshot and how to record the test and everywhere. Okay. Yes. So play with this, because these are all UI tools. You need to do a lot of practice. Then you will be able to remember this. It's very, very important. And you can provide any name. Okay. So this is just a relevant name I have given for the file code gen test, but you can give any name. That's not a problem. See, I can just see code gen test I'm giving. Suppose I'm simply say some XYZ, right? So it is automatically create xyz.spec.ts file. Now it is open the window and open the browser. So I'm trying to open some URL google.com and I'm searching for Playwright and select the option and just try to record something and just say stop recording. Okay. So once you stop recording, you can just look at this closed, and now you can see xyz dot file is got created somewhere. You can see that xyz dot spec.ts is got generated. Okay. So this is how we can use test generator or code gen window. Fine. So do some practice, play with this code gen tool. I will provide all the list of commands and nodes and everything clearly. So just do some kind of a practice on this. In the next classes, I will show you some more additional options. They are all UI options. Okay. So I'll show some more options in the Playwright in the next class. Okay. That's it.